So I was just thinking, what could be somewhat practical advice, I guess, in terms of, I'm a business professor, and people are often sort of thinking about, how can you make the most amount of money the quickest? And that is, that's the reality of most people. I'm not a big fan of that, right? That I think that long-term benefit comes from sort of spending the risk of doing something that's going to take a long time to benefit from. But, if you need to make a lot of money very quickly, what would that actually look like, right? So for me, what I would suggest, by the way, if you don't know me, I'm Professor Dave Massack. I'm Associate Professor of Innovation Strategy and Entrepreneurship, and I created this whole reciprocity project to give back as much as I possibly can. There's so many people that help me out that I want to pay the favor for to help you out. So what would that look like, right? So what would be the easiest way to make money quickly? It would actually be probably really simple things that you would honestly overlook, right? I don't talk about this enough, but you probably have stuff in your house that you can sell. So looking at all the things in your house that you can sell and get rid of them by selling them in various different ways. That is somewhat resource intensive, though, to do that. So you have to realize that there is a lot of what's called transaction cost, to doing that. And a lot of sort of haggling, which is kind of painful. Another way that you can make money quite quickly is to look for, jobs that are sort of immediate in your area. Things like babysitting, for example, can do actually okay. You can have a pretty good salary by watching a couple of kids. It's not like out of the realm of possibility. I have close people that are close to me that do that, and they do pretty good. Looking at cleaning homes, for example, actually is not too bad. It's not great in terms of the amount of money or the return that you get per hour, but it's not bad. You can do okay with that. Other things that probably net better benefit are cutting grass and doing odd jobs around everybody's yard, and that's an easy one if you live in a city, to go place to place and just say, hey, I'm looking for some odd jobs. And if you're, younger folks that are looking for this, right, in your teens and 20s, that's where you would start. And often, various different communities have Facebook pages now that you could just send out a little notice saying, hey, I'm looking for some odd jobs. Do you have any? Very simple. Driving for Uber, looking for other things that give you tips, like, pizza, driving and doing the pizza thing, serving at restaurants at night. These are actually kind of fun things. They're tiring and hard, but they actually do pretty reasonably well if you sort of pick and choose where you're going and what you're going to do that with, right? So having that combination of looking for things that are pretty close in your local community, they're usually not really all that sort of, sexy. They're really not. And doing those, it's a lot of labor intensive work, right? That tends to actually net pretty good returns. A lot of the online stuff actually doesn't do pretty good in the short term. It can in the long term. So you might think of it can, if you're doing things, you might be able to find sort of like a social media gig or something like that, where you're doing social media for people and they're sort of paying you $1,000 a month or something like that. But that's actually pretty resource intensive. It takes a lot of work to do that, but you don't have to go anywhere. The trouble is, it's going to be hard for you to convince people that they need to get that done. So you need to look for things that are in the immediate area close to you, where people are like really they're really in a hard spot, right? Like you just go to somebody's yard that has long grass and ask them, right? Like those things you can usually identify, ask them to cut the grass. Those things are the way that you can sort of see these things that are much more clear. Tutoring is a big thing that I think is undervalued. So tutoring for various different stages of education, right? So you can tutor, if you're in 6th grade, you probably can tutor somebody that's in 1st grade. It might be a little tricky to know how to control them, but sometimes it does work out. Walking dogs are really, so you can see that the theme of this is looking at things that are really close to what you already do, and do those things. One of them, you can go to a neighborhood that's got mailboxes and look for ways that you can repair mailboxes, or clean out garbage cans in everybody's house. Nobody likes to do those things, but they're pretty easy, and you can probably do it in about 15 minutes to do that, and you can probably get $10 each time that you do those, right? And that would be a reasonable amount. So $10 for every 15 minutes you drive, you're probably making $30 an hour, which is pretty darn good in terms of a salary. So thinking about those, that's where I would go if I was to look for making as much money as quick as possible. Is going and doing very simple things that are in your immediate vicinity. But you just have to pick one. That's the hard part, picking one, and picking only one, and just going around and doing it. That's the other thing, is having that gumption. It's not really gumption, it's just like self-confidence and courage. And that's where the combination of those sort of effects are really challenging, because usually if you don't have money, you're really hard pressed, or you don't want to do those things because you feel bad about it, and you feel bad about yourself, and it's kind of this vicious circle. It's actually really hard. That's the challenge of this all, right? Is that it's hard to get over some of these things as human beings, and we just simply have to accept ourselves and just go and do it, knowing that you're probably not going to be good at it, and just do it anyways. So that's what I would do. Look for simple things, very simple. Nothing fancy. Don't do anything that says get quick rich, all that kind of stuff, which is probably, I'm gonna title this podcast. They don't work. They just don't work, and you're gonna lose a lot of money. You're gonna put in a lot of effort. Just the slow, boring, tedious things, car washing, that kind of stuff. That's what works, and that's how you grow it. And you just do those things every weekend, every single stinking weekend. You get real tired of it. It's dirty jobs, right? That show on Discovery Channel with Mike Rowe, Dirty Jobs. That's what it is. That's what you got to do time and time again. But if you are looking to do better and want long run returns that typically do better, getting an education, a good education in a good field, like a good field that has a return, like people are going to be like, yeah, I get it. Nursing, engineering, all those kind of things that are tried and true, and most people are either gonna discount it as like you're a square to do with that, or you're gonna be like, oh, that person like gets it. That's really what it is, and you're gonna get a return from those. So with that, that's all I'm gonna say. Have a good one. Take care, and we'll catch you on the next one.